Hello BookTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Fab Four Book Tag. This tag was created by Tom Ellie Books, and I originally saw it on Steve Donahue's channel. And I'll leave links to both in the show notes down below. So this tag refers to the Beatles. All of the prompts draw inspirations from various sayings of the Beatles, writings of the Beatles, songs, what have you. I'm pretty sure everybody should know who the Beatles are. So I haven't listened to much of the Beatles oeuvre. There are a few songs by the Beatles I especially enjoy. Lucy in the Sky with the Diamonds, Hey Jude, Dear Prudence, While My Guitar Gently Weeps, In the Octopus's Garden, but haven't really made a concerted effort to listen to much of the Beatles' work. But I did last night. I tried to do this video yesterday, but for one reason and another, it didn't quite turn out. So I chucked it and went on and decided I'll try this video again today. And I thought, while I had the opportunity, I might as well try to listen to some more of the Beatles' work. And there are some really good songs, but there are a lot of not so good songs or okay songs. But anyway, let's get on with the prompts. Because there's another tag I want to do today too, because tomorrow I want to do my reading plans, and maybe a best of, if not a worst of too. So prompt number 1. I just fell out of bed, found out where... Let me try this again. Some of these are going to be a bit tongue twisters for me. I just fell out of bed, found out what key I had dreamed it in, and played it. Paul McCartney about yesterday. A book that you dreamt about, or that inspired one of your dreams. I think, like Steve, I've dreamt of books that don't exist in the real world. But I don't really remember my dreams all that well, so I can't be 100% certain, on the details. I do know I've dreamt that I was a character in Naruto, the one of the most popular manga series of the last 30 years. It's about by Masashi Kishimoto. It's about a young ninja named Uzumaki Naruto, who is the village pariah, and in order to force the village to acknowledge him, he wants to become Hokage, the leader of the village, the most powerful ninja of the village. And as he trains to become a ninja, as he takes on missions as a ninja, he slowly comes to value the village for the bonds he creates, the friendships he's made. And also the village comes to recognize him, to rely on him, to let go of their prejudices against him. And I've also, and this isn't a book, but I've also dreamt that I was a character in Degrassi, the Next Generation Next Class period, which is the most recent Degrassi period. And this one I do remember quite a bit about, and it was weird. Anyway, and I actually honestly have never really watched Degrassi, so I don't know why I dreamt about it, but okay. Prompt number 2. Lucy in the Sky with the Diamonds, John Lennon. Also the inspiration for the character Lucy Heartfilia in Fairy Tale. A book that talks about drugs or that was written under the influence of drugs. For this one, I'm going to go with Less Than Zero by Bret Easton Ellis. It's a novel about a young man named Clay who comes home to LA from during a college break to sort of be on vacation, and gets involved in a lot of stuff, most of it illegal, with his high school friends, or his friends who remained in LA. And I want to say drugs play a major role in the story, although that could be more the film version. That's really more the drugs. It's been a while since I've read the book, and so I don't quite remember a whole lot about it. So I might be confusing the book for the movie, because I think the book and movie are very different, if I remember correctly. Prompt number 3. We thought we'd be really big in Liverpool, Ringo Starr. A book about someone who had far more success than what they expected, or a book that was much more successful than what the author expected. For this, I think I'm going to go with George R. Martin and A Song of Ice and Fire. George R. Martin had been writing for decades before he wrote A Game of Thrones, the first book in the Song of Ice and Fire series. But I don't think he anticipated how big it would get, although it got even bigger with the TV show. But there are a number of other authors, particularly those who've captured lightning in a bottle, or who've really captured a market that hadn't been there before. You could also think of J.K. Rowling, Robert Jordan in a way, Stephanie Meyer, so on and so forth. Although not all of them good. Prompt number 4. Sitting on a cornflake waiting for the band to come. John Lennon. A surreal book, or a book with some surreal elements that you enjoyed. This one is a bit difficult. Surreal makes you think of more realistic fiction that sort of isn't entirely realistic. But at the same time, surreal could cover science fiction and fantasy. And I'm going to go with that. And for that, I'm going to go with Radiance by Catherine and Valenti, my last reading of it accepted. It had been one of my favorite books of all time prior to my most recent reading of it. And there are a lot of surreal elements to it. It is a space opera, but it's a space opera set in a radically altered solar system. A solar system in which all the planets, even Pluto, are habitable. And the most surrealistic element is towards the end, where everything wraps up in this weird detective fiction style summation. And yeah, which I don't think actually quite works, the more I think about it. Anyway, prompt number 5. The White Album. A book you loved that A, has a minimalist cover, or B, is written in a minimalist style. This one's rather tough as well. I don't really... a lot of the fiction I read is fantastic. Science fiction, fantasy. And they don't really do much in the way of minimalist covers. and they really don't do much in the way of minimalist writing. So I guess you could go with, I don't know. I'm going to have to punt on this one because I can't really think of anything off the top of my head that would be particularly minimalist that I enjoyed. Prompt number 6. Little darling, it's been a long, cold, lonely winter. Here comes the sun. George Harrison. A book of poetry that you found uplifting. The collected poetry of Nikki Giovanni, 1960. 6 to 19, no, I think it's 1966 to 1994, but it could be 1964 to 1994, 66 to 96, or something. My eyesight is atrocious. It's one of my favorite collections. It has one of my favorite poems in it that I first read when I was in either 6th or 7th grade. That it captured me, and I've loved it ever since. Prompt number 7, A Day in the Life. An experimental book that's very uncommon for its content or format, and yet it works well. Again, this one is rather difficult since a lot of what I read is science fiction and fantasy, and I don't really get on all that well with the literary fiction, which typically is what this prompt I think really could work with. I mean, you could go with, I guess maybe Black Leopard, Red Wolf by Marlon James. It's a fantasy set in, or drawing inspiration from medieval Africa. It features a person with the ability to track the missing and the lost, and he's hired by a local potentate to find a missing child alongside his ex-lover, the leopard, a witch, and a mercenary or 2 or 3. And the thing about this novel is that it's told in the form of an interrogation, and it's a dual narrative. So basically the main character, Tracker, he's being interrogated. So he's sort of telling the story of his adventures to his inquisitor. And the story kind of bifurcates. The first story is the search for the missing boy who's been kidnapped by monsters. The second story is Tracker's pursuit of revenge of this boy. When it's discovered that the boy kind of liked being with the monsters and has rejoined them. Spoiler alert. So yeah, I think while a lot of critics and a lot of readers might have had some issues with how the story was told, the structure, I actually thought it was easy to follow. So I'll go with that. Prompt number 8. Over half of Americans who are 45 and older attribute the Beatles split to Yoko Ono. A book about a woman, or if you can't think of one, a man, who was unjustly blamed or accused of something. Hillary Rodham Clinton is not a supervillain or a crime lord. And the Queen is not a reptilian. Enough said. Prompt number 9. Limitless undying love which shines around me like a million suns and calls me on and on across the universe. John Lennon. A book that opened your mind and made you think of the universe in a new way, either physically or spiritually. Oh, there's this book about black holes that I read ages ago that I am blanking on. That would be wonderful for this prompt. And a number of other nature books and science books, but I think I'm going to go with Underland by Robert McFarlane. It's, I think, his most recent book. It's about the underground spaces, both natural and man-made, and it is a wonderful book. It just, I read it last year for the BookTube Prize, and I thought it was by far the best book that I read for the prize. Still a bit miffed that it didn't move on to the final round, but okay. Prompt number 10. Mother Mary comes to me, speaking words of wisdom, let it be. Paul McCartney. A book that you found very powerful and moving despite its apparent simplicity. Oh. So let's see here. Well, I'm not entirely sure. Sorry about this. See here. I'm currently drawing a blank. I think maybe The Five Wounds by Kirsten Valdez Quaid, from her short story collection Night at the Fiestas. It's the story of a lout who gets involved in a extreme religious procession that the story is basically about him, sort of the day leading up to his trial, literally, because he's going to be literally crucified in this ritual. And it is such a powerful, moving short story. So I think I'll go with that. Yeah. So, sorry for the delay, but that was the Fab Four Book Tag. If you would like to do this tag, consider yourselves tagged, and I will see you shortly with another tag video. So until then, BookTube, thank you, have a great afternoon, and stay safe.